My mother-in-law, Evelyn, didn't even look at me when she tipped her wine glass over. She watched the red liquid soak into the white Persian rug, a rug I had spent 3 hours steam cleaning the day before. "Oh, Sarah," she sighed, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "I forgot how clumsy I am. But then again, it's not like you have anything else to do with your day, right? Since Mark provides everything, the least you can do is keep his home presentable." I looked up at my husband, Mark. I expected a word of defense, a look of disapproval, anything. But he just checked his gold watch, the one I had secretly helped him pick out, and complained that his steak was leaning toward medium well instead of medium. They saw a broke housewife, a woman with no career, no independent income, and apparently no self-respect. What they didn't see was the encrypted laptop hidden under the guest room floorboards, or the notification that had just vibrated on my wrist, a notification confirming a $450,000 wire transfer to a bank account they didn't even know existed. For 7 years, I played the role of the perfect supporting character in Mark's life. When we first married, I was a rising star in architectural software, but Mark's ego was fragile. He told me his brand as a high-powered consultant looked better if he had a wife who focused on the sanctity of the home. So I stepped back. I let him take the spotlight, and within 2 years, he had convinced himself and his mother that I was a charity case he had rescued from a life of struggle. The insult started small. "Sarah doesn't understand the stress of the corporate world," he'd tell our dinner guests. Then they grew sharper. "It must be nice to sleep in while I'm out earning the life you enjoy. But silence isn't always submission. Sometimes silence is a fortress." Every morning after Mark left for the office, and every night after he fell into a gin-soaked sleep, I was awake. I wasn't just browsing the internet. I had spent 5 years building a niche, AI-driven design firm under a pseudonym. I was the silent architect. My clients were international developers who didn't care if I was wearing a stained apron or a Chanel suit. They cared about my mind. While Evelyn was mocking my choice of floor wax, I was finalizing the blueprints for a multi-million-dollar boutique hotel in Dubai. The turning point came on a Tuesday in October. Mark came home late, smelling of expensive bourbon and desperation. He didn't look at me. He told me to sit down. "The market shifted," he said, his voice cracking. "The investments, they're gone. The house is in foreclosure, Sarah. We have 30 days. I felt a pang of old habit, the urge to comfort him. But then he said the words that killed my pity forever. "It's your fault, really," he spat, looking at me with genuine resentment. "If you had a real job, if you weren't so content being a parasite, we'd have a cushion. But you just sat here, year after year, spending my money while I burned myself out." I looked at him. I looked at the man who had gambled our equity on sure-thing crypto tokens and luxury car leases he couldn't afford. "I understand," I said quietly. "What do we do now?" "I've found a studio apartment across town," he said, not meeting my eyes. "You'll need fine work. Waitressing, maybe something simple. Evelyn will move in with her sister." He didn't realize that I had known about the foreclosure for months. I had been the one watching the legal notices, and I had been the one waiting for the auction. The day of the Evelyn was weeping about the tragedy of losing their status. Mark was snapping at the movers. A sleek black car pulled into the driveway. A man in a tailored suit stepped out of a high-end real estate attorney I had hired weeks ago. "Mr. Sterling?" the attorney asked. "I'm here to represent the new owner. The anonymous entity that purchased the debt and the deed at the private auction. Mark straightened his tie, trying to regain some dignity. Tell your boss they gotta steal. This house is worth triple what they paid. The owner is aware, the attorney said. He turned the car and opened the back door. I stepped out. I wasn't wearing the faded leggings or the oversized sweater. I was wearing a structured navy blazer and the quiet, terrifying calm of a woman who had finally finished her masterpiece. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I have ever heard. Evelyn's jaw literally dropped. Mark's face went from confusion to shock to a deep, sickly shade of gray. Sarah, Mark stammered. What is this? What are you doing in that car? I'm coming home, Mark, I said, my voice steady. But only me. The silent architect doesn't have room for parasites. I handed him a folder. It wasn't divorce papers that had already been served at his lawyer's office an hour ago. It was an eviction notice for him and his mother. You told me I needed to get a real job, I said, walking past him toward the front door I now owned. I decided to take your advice. It turns out I'm very good at it. People ask me why I stayed so long, why I endured the insults and the wine stains on the rug. The truth is, growth doesn't always look like a loud explosion. Sometimes growth is a root system, spreading in the dark, cold soil where no one is looking. I stayed because I was building. I stayed because I knew that if I left too early, I would only be a victim. But if I stayed until I was ready, I would be a victor. To anyone listening who feels underestimated, let them think you are doing nothing. Let them believe they are the ones in control. Their arrogance is your greatest camouflage. Your worth is not defined by who provides for you. It is defined by what you build when no one is watching. Silence is not a sign of weakness. It is the sound of a plan coming together. Today, I drank my coffee in this house. There are no stains on the rug. And for the first time in 7 years, the only voice I hear is my own. And she has a lot to say. If this story touched your heart, remember, your current situation is a chapter, not the whole book. Subscribe to my channel for more stories of resilience and rebirth. Leave a yes in the comments if you believe that silence is power.